Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are Team A from MBI Amanatul Pacet Mojokerto. Today, in this video, we will be debating about the motion, this House believes that lockdown can effectively stop the pandemic spread in Indonesia. Before going on to our arguments, me as the first speaker of the team, hi, my name is Hartika. I would like to introduce two of my friends. First is Aska as the second speaker and also Alpha as the third speaker. So without any further ado, we are as the negative side of the house will bring our arguments. So ladies and gentlemen, various efforts are done either by the government or the society in returning our nation's stability due to the pandemic that we are now facing. Lockdowns, quarantine, health protocols, and some restrictions are done. But the questions here is, did it work? Lockdowns here means a big limitations on any social aspects and public sectors ruled by the government to the society in targeting country's stability just like before pandemic. And as all we know, lockdowns are created to invent illness for Indonesia, but precisely it creates more harm for Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia isn't ready yet for this total lockdown. As a developing country, there are so many social aspects that we need more consideration in deciding their solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, as a developing country, we cannot equal ourselves to the countries who succeed in these lockdown solutions. Our country economical, educational, social, health, and many more sectors are affected by these lockdown implementations, ladies and gentlemen. Here are some worst case caused by these implementations. 71% citizens of Indonesia are working as informal workers. Some of them are working as an offline employees who are depending their fully daily earnings on their offline jobs. By the limitation created due to the pandemic lockdown, some of them lost their job and some of them are used to dealing with the online works. Limitations of Indonesian citizens are creating non-productivity and also cause them to not producing products. Those who becoming victims to these problems are suffering in fulfilling their daily needs, and also their mental health are interrupted by their own weariness of fulfilling their wealth. The governments reacted to this problem by giving subsidies, and these subsidies cost lots of spending to Indonesia's financial sectors, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, Indonesia had a lack of income due to this COVID-19 pandemic. It shows that this lockdown isn't just affecting the citizens' earnings, but also affecting our country's financial sectors, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia education sectors are also affected due to this lockdown issue. Millions of Indonesian students are suffering in succeeding their program of school in order to prevent social contacts and crowds, especially for the students range of 6 and 13 who needs more physical interaction to support the education program that they learn. Another reason why that we need to disagree with this motion is because the government itself which shows an inconsistency in serving the immigrants. And also immigrants, they disobey their own regulation in allowing their foreign workers to work in Indonesia. So, from the example and that I've mentioned, lockdown did not stop the spreading, but it's precisely bring more harm to Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. And we believe that a particular limitation is better than locking down all social interactions. This particular limitation will collaborate with the power of health protocols and also social awareness and supervisions in order to cure the pandemic. Therefore, we as the negative side of the house strongly disagree to this motion. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the second speaker from the negative side of the house. I would like to state more what my first speaker said, that we believe lockdown is not effective in stopping the spreading of the pandemic in Indonesia. We believe that it will bring more harm than good, ladies and gentlemen. For almost 2 consecutive years, we have been living in confusion, suffering, and uncertainty. We are getting hopeless to develop our own life. Can our life get back to the life that we used to have? But still, we cannot compare our country's lockdown to such an advanced advanced country. Why? Because we are different. We are different, ladies and gentlemen. We are still a developing country. We have weaker fiscal capacity. It shows that advanced country have 32% of fiscal capacity. Meanwhile, on developing country, we only have 16%, in which it is the half of it. It limits the ability to recruit replacement programs for workers during like the lockdown. The second is the informality. Developing countries put up over 71% of informal workers. They are self-employed. They have to do direct face-to-face economic activity, and it's not beneficial for a lower middle class economy because it cannot be replaced by any online activity. The third is we are having declining economy. Even though we just got off from recession last year, it doesn't mean that our economic growth is doing well, because from yesterday's PPKM, it shows that the economy decreased by 0.5% by 2 weeks, and if it's by 1 month, it's 1%. So we believe that economy will totally affect the whole sector, not only health but all sectors, because economy is a vital sector. Economy is the model to everything. Even in Indonesia, however, the spokesman said that good healthcare facilities rely on economy. Economy is the model. But in reality, we know that we have no subsidy. There are no subsidy for citizens. It only happens at the first period, and it's not equally shared. Because we don't have any money, we don't have any model. We have poor access to health service. One of the most tragic cases is one that happened in Depok, Western Java, in which one of the citizens in lower to middle class economy, they don't have any access to health facility. They have to stay at home. They have to suffer with themselves. They don't have any understanding of what is happening to them. And once they get worse, they got rejected by hospital. Why? Because they have low bed occupancy rate. This really shows that our health facility is not able to face the booming pandemic rate. And then we are here not only to criticize, but we are also giving solutions, because on top of it all, we and the government, we both have the same goals, which is to eradicate COVID-19 and to return the nation's stability. So first, I want to evaluate from the recent government's recession policy. The first that they have in consistent regulation. This happens at the Chinese workers case in nickel project at Central Sulawesi, in which these workers use visitor's visa, and which it is actually forbidden by the government themselves. They made a policy. The rules of Ministry of Law and Human Rights 737 year 2021, they only allow foreigners with diplomatic and resident visas. And the second is the no supervision with heavy punishment. It happens on the Holy Wings case. Holy Wings is a restaurant in Kemang, Jakarta, and they still open up above 10 p.m. and the visitors didn't use any health protocols. And the last is the lack of awareness of the third. I would like to mention 3 characters of Indonesia citizens in this pandemic. The first is they are purposely deviating the rules. The second is they are aware and they obey. And the last is they are aware but not obeying because of certain reasons. What are these reasons, ladies and gentlemen? Because they work, they need to work. They are workers and they work on weekdays. So they tend to do refreshing on weekend. And yes, we will still open the nutrition spot at weekends. Why? Because nutrition spot is really vital. They are a really vital sector. And after collapsing for a year, we want them to revive. And there will be strict requirements. What are the strict requirements, ladies and gentlemen? They will do double mask, social distancing, washing hands, screening, and the most important one is vaccine. Why? Once more, we would like to remind that vaccine is really important. Why? Because it will hard to get infected once you're vaccinated. The second, even if you're infected, you won't suffer more. You won't suffer much like the anti-vax one. And the third is you will be healthy, you will be able to work, and you will live the economy well. The second is the business about social media platform effectively. We know that Indonesian citizens, they tend to easy to get affected by what's on their social media, and this we would like to do campaign, advertisement, and nation. Last is the supervision of food. We would like to do curfew hours, not only in big cities but also in small cities, with heavy and clear punishment. And once more, we would like to remind you that we believe not only for the sake. We have to do this not only for the sake of ourselves, our nation, but also for the world. Because COVID-19 is not happening in Indonesia, but everywhere in the world. We need to revive. We need to get up from these dark times. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So I, as the two speaker of the negative side of the House, will elaborate about my first and second speaker argumentation. So as my first speaker said that virtual learning or online class by the effect of the lockdown will bring more negative impact to the student. While ladies and gentlemen, I will give you specification about this argument. But I will divide the age of range of the student into two. The first age of range is 3 until 13. In this range,
usually their behavior is being loud and just do whatever they want because they need to express themselves. And the perfect place for them is school because they also have teachers to advise them. But because of the lockdown, they have to stay at home. When being too loud in home, they will distract the other siblings who having online class also, and the parent who is working at home. So the parent will make them silence and still do their work with giving them a phone. But as we know, ladies and gentlemen, phone will bring more harm than good to them because they cannot differentiate the bad or the good side of the phone. And the second range is the teenager because their education focus is to doing a research. As we know, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot do a research online because we have to focus on it, and also we need a real advisor who will advise about our experiment. And the alternative side is because it can make the student lazier because of why? Because if they get a task, the one who will do the task is their parent because the kids will think that home is their comfort zone, and also they have parents who will do everything what they want. And this online learning is also giving a negative impact to the economic side of the family because they need to pay the internet bills, which is expensive, ladies and gentlemen, and the subsidy from the government is still less because as we know, Indonesia is a developing country who cannot fulfill all of the citizen needed for a long term. So that's why we as the negative side of the house totally disagree with the motion because of why, as my first speaker said and I said before, Indonesia is still a developing country who cannot fulfill all of the needs of the citizen. And also the government still disobey their own regulation, as my first speaker said. And the third thing is because we still having low self-awareness from the citizen. The self-awareness is about the health protocol, not why they don't want to stay at home. Because the reason why they don't want to stay at home is because they have to looking for food to feed their kids and also looking for money to pay their life costs. And the subsidy from the government is only happen in the first term of the lockdown because of why, as I said before, Indonesia is still a developing country who cannot fulfill it for a long term. That's why rather than doing a lockdown, as my second speaker said, we have an innovation named SAR, Social Activity Restriction. Why it's going to be more effective than lockdown? Because of SAR is not a total lockdown, so they still can go out and going to work and the students still go on, and students still go to school to get more effective education. It's like a limitation for the citizen activity, and for those citizens who is having low self-awareness about the health protocol, we can strengthen in the supervisor field government rules and remind them as much as possible. And as example, we gotta do an operation every limit time of the SAR. And as my second speaker said, based on the Indonesian characteristic, it will be more effective if we remind them by the social media. And what the government do in social media is first campaign. The campaign is kind about the vaccine or about the social distancing. Why we have to do the vaccine campaign is because vaccine is really important, because even when all of the citizens is already vaccinated, even though they get affected by the coronavirus, they will not suffer as hard as the one who will not get vaccinated. And the second thing is the advertisement. This advertisement is about the healthcare supplies from Indonesia. So it will rate our GDP rate. It will increase our GDP rate because it's made from Indonesia and sold to the Indonesian. So we don't need and import things like that. Then the third thing is donation. For those who get affected, maybe there are still a lot of rich person who is not that affected by the virus, who can help the middle low class economy who's get affected, who cannot pay the oxygen or the medicine bills. So that's why the government should do this remind consistently until they get used to with the protocol, and the SAR will more effective than the lockdown. So that's all from me. Thank you.
So, we have listened to the arguments mentioned by the three speakers before. Now I'm going to be concluding on what we have mentioned. Indonesia as a developing country is not ready in locking down the social sectors that we have. Because why? We have no enough models, especially in financial sectors. This affects the health services that we get and that we use in the medical sectors. The bad health facilities and also services are an example due to the lack of financial that the country we have. And also the not effectively education online program, which cause many students of Indonesia are suffering. And also, especially to the students in the range of 6 until 13 years old who needs more physical interaction, just like what my third speaker mentioned. And also, from all of these problems, we have the solution, better solution rather than locking down, which is SAR, just like what my second speaker mentioned. SAR here is divided into 3 programs, which are weekend, social media platform, and also supervision on field. And we strongly believe that these programs are more effective than locking down all social interactions. And also, just like what my second speaker mentioned, that having a clear punishment equally to all regions in Indonesia can also help the process of curing COVID-19 in Indonesia. Therefore, we would like to state that we disagree to this motion. Thank you.